Hello, my name is Evgenia Sarafova, and I'm part of the Geospatial Systems and Technologies Department of Faculty of Geology and Geography, Sofia University, St. Clement Ohridsky. I'm going to present in front of you now my research that was published in the Bulgarian Geographical Society's journal that was published in 2021 and was conducted from 2020, the year of the pandemic, and the year after that. The study area of the research is the Sofia city region that includes the capital of Bulgaria, Sofia, and also parts of its surroundings. As you can see on this satellite image, it includes parts of mountains on the northern side, also mountains on the southern side, which are above 2000 meters, the Vitosha mountain here, and also the biggest dam in Bulgaria, Iskar Dam. And the capital of Sofia, of Bulgaria, Sofia, is located here. The total population that is living in this area is more than a million people in data from 2011. This was the latest at this moment of making this research census data. And as you can see from the data before that, from 2001 and from 1992, the amount of people that were living in this area was almost the same. So we have a slightly increasing of this number. According to the census data, the population of the capital increased in the period after 2021, but the total share of the urban population, as you can see from the charts here, increased from 71% in 1934 to more than 95% in 2011. So the data and the scientific methods that were used in this study were gathered and were used in many other studies before that, but there were some prerequisites that we had to keep in mind before starting the research. For example, we had to include images from the 1990, 2001, and 2011, just because these were the years that we had census data available. So it was important for us to include satellite images and NDVI profiles from these years. Also, it was important for the study to choose quality data before the year of 1989, because this was the year when a huge political and economic change happened. So it was very important for the study to have data that was before this year that was of significant change. Also, despite the presence of clouds in very small part of the studied territory, we decided to use satellite image from 2011 that was with small amount of clouds, but it was really important for the study to have satellite image and NDVI data for this exact year. So we needed to make this tough decision to include this data set. So the input data includes data from the satellites Landsat 5, which we used bands 3 and 4 from. Also Landsat 7 with bands 3 and 4 data, Landsat 8 with bands 4 and 5 data, and Sentinel-2 with bands 4 and 8 data. All those data sets were clipped, and zonal statistics was performed for all of them, so we can output the NDVI stats per urban development unit. The statistics data that we gathered in the attribute table was count, the mean, the median, the sum, the standard deviation, the mean, and the max of all those values for all those pixels. And statistics was performed per urban development unit. So for all the urban development units, we were able to perform NDVI profiles and to have some calculations to see if there is some kind of relationship between the NDVIs and the number of population and its demographics. So the NDVI for the territory shows that there is kind of change for all these years, but we have to keep in mind that it is very hard to make such conclusions when you have data for different years from different sensors and also with different size of the pixel. So this is something that all huge time series analysis are facing, and this is something that researchers have to keep in mind when they perform such kind of analysis. So you can see here the time series data from 87 to 2015. These are data sets only from the Landsat program. Also the same, but we have NDVI datasets that are spatially adjusted to the urban development units from 87 to 2015. Another thing that was done during this research was related to making profiles of some of the parks that are located in the city center. We have profiles for the Northern Park, the Western Park, the Peter and Pavel Park, Zaimov Park, South Park, and the Borisova Garden Park. And the results you can see here. In the research paper, you can see also a text that is describing what is the situation in all these parks. And you can see here lines that are representing each year of values of NDVI from the first point of this profile to the last point of this profile. So you can see, for example, here where we have a park, the starting point is in the western part of the park. We have two streets. The first one is here and the second one is here, and you can see these values that are dropping here. Also, we have dropping values here at the end because this is the Tsarigradsko Shosey, the huge boulevard that is crossing the city. So we have low level of NDVI, which is of course normal. And you can see the time series located here in those profiles from 1987 with the darkest color to 2015 with the lightest color. We have the same data with profile for the South Park. This is the first one, the second one, and the third line. So you can see a difference. If you see here, we have nothing surprising, but here we see a significant difference between the different years, and it is possible for us to discuss this, why this happens, and maybe the resulting lines are so different just because we have a significant amount of new buildings that were built here in the years after, let's say, 2000. So it is very interesting to see these varying lines here in this part of the city. Another set of lines for the Western Park. You can see here another set of lines that are very diversified. Again, this is related mainly because of new buildings or another anthropogenic factors that are related to the situation of this park. And the Zaimov Park, where we have lines that are close together, and this is the situation here with the park. It's very normal. We don't have any new buildings or anthropogenic difference for all those decades. Also for this small park here, and also for this small park here. So the NDVI per capita for the data for the population in 2011 shows that there were places, there were um, urban development units that have more NDVI or green mass per capita than others. And the ones that have a smaller amount of NDVI per capita are the ones located in the exact city center, where we have huge buildings, we have a really small amount of green spaces, or just separate trees that are located on the pavement just around these huge buildings. The data for the NDVI from the Sentinel-2 dataset is shown here. The median is shown here, and the per capita data is shown here. So you can see again that we have some places in the city center that don't have much NDVI or green per capita. Also, we have a huge amount of green or NDVI per capita in parts of the skirts of the city that are located near the Vitusha mountain, which is located just here. These are datasets that were derived from Sentinel-2 of the Copernicus program. So in terms of the final result, we can see that there is a significant difference between all those years that the study was using data from. And we have to keep in mind that it is very important for the researchers to understand that it is hard to make comparisons when we have data from all those kinds of different years and different decades. So the per capita data set is important when we are talking about the quality of life and how different neighborhoods and how different parts of the city are responding to the increasing need and increasing need of people who are living in those neighborhoods to have more green around them and to have a better quality of life.